All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So yesterday, or this week, we've been talking about readers understand a story by ... So I've made us our charts. I think you guys can see it. Kyla, you need to turn your video on. Okay, so we talked about giving ourselves a comprehension check, and we talked about thinking what mind work is the text signaling me to do, whether it's making a movie or making a list of information. Also, yesterday we talked about predicting what will happen next based on what has already happened, what you know about how stories tend to go, and empathizing with the characters. So we will add that to our chart today. So I'll go ahead and tape it up there. Give me 1 second to tape this up here. Okay. And now we're going to get started. All right, so today we're going to continue talking about making sure that we are understanding and turning our brains onto a higher level. So today we're going to continue talking about predictions, about making higher level predictions. So today I want to teach you that when making predictions, expert readers draw on important specifics. So the predictions not only tell the main things that are likely to happen later in the story, but also include details about how some of those things might happen. Those small details carry big meanings. So that means we're going to look at the small details to try and help us make predictions. Okay. So I noticed that some of you, when you predicted, you only predicted only the main gist of what will happen. That's like a weatherman predicting the weather by glancing out the window and saying, "It will be a summer day." You want the weatherman to give you more specific information in his prediction. And to do this, he needs to take, my hair fell in my face. Let me start over. All right, so for the weatherman to make more specific predictions or more specific information in his prediction, he needs to take into account more precise information. The low pressure zones, the moisture in the air, only then can his predictions be more grounded and more specific. So he needs those more details in order to get a specific reading of the weather. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense, of looking at the details to get a more specific prediction. Oscar, do you have a question?
No, I accidentally pressed that.
All right, good to know.
So I accidentally pressed the mute button, the unmute me button. Then I pressed it, then I accidentally pressed the raise hand button. So.
That's all right. All right, so yesterday we predicted that little Willie would find a way to come up with the money grandfather owes. Destiny, make sure you're listening to me. Thinking about how a story will unfold and imagining ways in which things might happen is something that researchers expect fourth graders to do. All right, so if you guys are ready and think you can take on the challenge, I was thinking you might want to try this work maybe a year early. All right, so let me show you how I might predict how things might unfold by noticing details in the text. Okay, so I'm going to use Stone Fox.
The American test? Never mind.
All right, so let's go back to where we left off and ask, how might little Willie save the farm? How might he raise the money? Now, let me see if I can dig up some details to help answer that question. All right, so little Willie doesn't have many options. We know that characters use what's around them to solve problems. Niley, I don't know who you're talking to, but you need to make sure you're listening to me. All right, so in little Willie's case, there are crops. He's already tried that though, hasn't he? Give me a thumbs up. Has he already tried to use the crops to help solve his money problems? Let me see. Has he already used the, so Destiny, you're not listening to me. If you're not looking at the screen, you're not listening to me. All right, so yes, he already tried to sell, so he sold all of his potato crops to get money, and it still wasn't enough for the taxes. All right, so he and Searchlight completed the harvest. We already said that, but the money wasn't that much. All right, so now I'm gonna think. The first thing little Willie does after he finds out about the taxes is to go see Doc Smith. She isn't really that helpful in my opinion, but that makes me think he may turn to other people. Who else might he turn to, and how could they help him? Who do you think in the book? Who do you think little Willie might turn to for help to make money? Does anyone have an idea? Oscar?
The person who Doc Smith told to take Grandpa to.
Ooh, yeah, maybe Mrs. Peacock. Anyone else here who we might turn to? Heavenly? You're muted. There you go. Heavenly, put the mic down. Heavenly, let the mic hang and then you talk. All right, Heavenly, I can't hear you. Do you want to type it in the chat? All right, Heavenly, give me a thumbs up if you're typing who you think in the chat. Okay, we'll wait a couple more seconds for Heavenly to finish typing, and then we'll move on. Ooh, maybe he'll turn to grandfather for help for his money. So those are great people who he could turn to help him with his money problems. But I was thinking maybe he would turn to Lester. Okay, so Lester, he owns the store and he gives Willie credit. So maybe he would loan him money that little Willie can pay off. Oh, and I just remembered this. Little Willie has that $50 in the bank that his grandfather didn't want him to touch, but now he might take it out. His confidence has grown, so maybe he'll even ask the bank for a loan since he's doing all of the errands right now. I'm thinking that one thing little Willie might do is turn to the people he knows and ask for help. He'll borrow the money, but he won't take charity. Instead, he'll work to pay it off. I know one thing for sure. Little Willie is going to solve this problem because he is so determined. He keeps saying, where there is a will, there is a way. So let me see a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Do you think little Willie is determined? Let me see. Let me see. Do you think little Willie is determined? Yes or no? I only see about 4 thumbs, 5 thumbs, 6. I'll wait until I see everyone's thumb. What do you think? Do you think little Willie is determined? Yes or no? I already said I thought he was. Let me see your thumbs. I see Raylan's thumb, DeJay's thumb, Gabe, Paxton's thumb, Heavenly's thumb, Kyla's thumb, Kevin's thumb.
No.
Just waiting on Jose's thumb. All right, so one last thing, and then I will show you your independent work for today. All right, so looking back at my book, do you see how, Nina, I'm going to mute you because of your background noise. All right, so do you see how I noticed details in the story, considered how other characters might factor in, and also how the external resources or what's around the character? Raylan, I need you to make sure you're listening to me and not talking to other people. And his traits might play a role. This is one way of moving from thinking about what will happen next to about how things will unfold. All right, so we're going to add one more thing to our charts, and we're going to, nope, this is for tomorrow, so we're not going to add this to our chart, actually. All right, so that is all for our predicting today.